I am also happy to share this platform with other distinguished guests, Dr. Kadirvalli, Swami Titikananda, Acharya Mohan Gupta, Pooja Bansal, Ravi Kumar Reddy, Sister Radhika, and Mr. R. Dilip Reddy. I congratulate Nishant for organizing this program. Namaskars to all the distinguished guests and good afternoon to all the youngsters and participants. Environmental protection is a part of our cultural values and traditions. Earth is our paradise and it is our duty to protect our paradise. The legal framework that we have in India as well as internationally has also come to recognize our duty towards our planet. As a result, we now have international summits such as the COP26, which are getting global attention. In India, especially followers of Hinduism have always treated nature as an individual entity who has her own rights which must be protected. We always have equated nature with God and have ensured that our existence is in harmony with nature's will. The philosophy is designed to inculcate a very strong environmental conscience which strives for a man to coexist with the environment around him and uphold the earth as divine mother, and all living beings are equal offspring. However, in the international environmental law, environmental personhood is a relative trend. Environmental personhood has been studied as a way of protecting nature since at least the 1970s. The Wanganui River in New Zealand is not the only instance of a natural resource being granted legal personhood in New Zealand. Following this decision, High Court of Uttarakhand has also declared River Ganga and River Yamuna, all their tributaries, streams, and every natural water flowing with flow continuously or intermittently of these rivers as legal person and living entities having equal rights. It is an interesting judgment as it discusses man's symbiotic relationship with nature. However, I have to inform all of you this judgment now the subject matter of an appeal before Supreme Court. So I would not like to elaborate much about declaration of these rivers Ganga and Yamuna as living beings. Rivers, mountains, natural resources were treated as deities. Civilizations have prospered on the banks of several rivers according to the history. Even in case of Hyderabad, one of the main reasons for shifting of capital by the then kings from Aurangabad to Hyderabad was existence of Musi River. Tank Bund was constructed to cater water needs of 4 lakh Hyderabad residents. Now it has become a source for sewer, industrial effluents and drainage. Even Musi River in the precincts of Hyderabad is no more useful for human consumption. One thing which astonishes me is why can't we at least preserve and protect these natural rivers, lakes, and man-made lakes like Hussain Sagar. It is no doubt government machinery is bound to protect environment, provide clean water, air, etc. to citizens by strictly enforcing laws. The duty which citizens have to perform at the same time cannot be disregarded. Citizens should always not be dependent on the government. That is what I would like to emphasize today. We always have to ensure that the future generations have enough forest reserves, landscapes for breathing fresh air and drinking clean water. People concentrate on creating estates for the next generations, unmindful of the fact that they should also have in their mind the challenges the next generation would face in terms of clean environment, water, and natural calamities. Like one has the right to create an estate and assets to be transferred to the next generation. One should also understand they do not have the right to destroy clean environment which the next generation would acquire and have got human and universal right to live in clean, hygienic, and peaceful environment. In case of floods, stagnation of water, waterlogging, awareness has to be created at the ground level to ensure that collection of filth, garbage amongst slums and people residing around lakes and river banks, that the filth, sewerage, etc., that is being generated naturally or through human activities finds its way into the rivers and ultimately into the sea. River Ganga and Brahmaputra, which are the lifelines for almost 400 million Indians, are natural resources which have catered to the needs of generations. If successive governments and public in general are not in a position to protect them, at least let them not destroy them and preserve them in the existing condition. Apart from environmental personhood in international law, there are various principles that have been developed over time to protect interest of environment, which cannot hire a legal counsel and represent itself in courts like human beings. One such principle is the polluter pays principle. The polluter pay principle essentially holds the polluter liable for pollution caused to the environment. In India, polluter pays principle was first time applied and defined in 1996 case of Indian Council of Enviro Legal Action versus Union of India. Justice Dalveer Bhandari determined that reversing the imbalance caused to the ecology is part and parcel of industrial process. Thus, the financial responsibility of taking prevention and controlling measures for pollution caused should rest upon industry which caused pollution. The financial burden cannot be shifted to the shoulders of the government, neither in preventing nor in correcting the trend. While judicial proceedings are largely beginning to protect nature and environment, we are unfortunately at a juncture where climate change is quickly changing the world as we see it today. Just this week, United Nations has a climate change conference where world leaders and climate activists met to discuss the future of our environment and how we should all pledge to protect it and meet the primary aim of accelerating action towards goals of Paris Agreement and UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. While the picture being printed is quite gloomy, it is not too late for all of us to take action and to protect and preserve the environment. India in particular has many laws and judicial precedents to protect nature and uphold its rights as an individual. However, the need of our is enforcing these laws and principles to protect Mother Earth. The younger generations who are very aware and sensitive towards the impending climate crisis have a significant role to play. The youth of today are more innovative than any other generation before and have accelerated connectivity with the fast changing technology. The youth can use these tools to take a stand for environment and to protect nature, which will in turn protect us and our future generations. A lot of conversations around climate change are heavily based on human rights. While the right to a clean environment is a basic human right, one must not forget that preserving ecology is also a basic human duty. Every right has a corresponding duty. Billions are spent on various programs after a damage or destruction is caused to the environment. However, there is a necessity to create awareness for prevention and preservation instead of getting activated after the damage and destruction is caused. There are several legislations which protect the environment. Ecological balance has to be maintained to ensure that there is not only enough food and water for human beings, but also for animals and other living beings. There are several statutes which cover these areas like Land Revenue Act, VALTA, and Land Acquisition Act. I am of the opinion if these acts are implemented in true letter and spirit, that would suffice for the present. However, the emphasis is always on creating a larger and wider space and at a higher level In fact, awareness should be at the lower level. For example, at the grassroots village level. Protection of environment is a basic human duty and should be integral part of every human being. Modernization and advancement in the fields of technology, health infrastructure are always synonymous with the latest state-of-art facilities and huge civil structures, multi-storage buildings, massive urbanization, unmindful of the impact on environment. Ultimately, what is forgotten is the quality of life. One has to introspect whether technological advancement has enhanced the quality of life. For every square feet of built-up area, there should be equivalent lung space or green belt created. Our constitution also gives us the right to clean environment under Article 21 of Indian Constitution and recognizes it as a part of our right to life and personal liberty. This is something everyone is aware of. However, the lesser known fact is that chapter on fundamental duties of Indian Constitution clearly imposes duty on every citizen to protect the environment. Article 51 AG says it shall be duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment like forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Therefore, while we have a right to clean environment, we also have the duty to protect environment around us in our individual capacities. While it is very easy for all of us to say, there is a need for more stringent legislations and actions by our government. It is also important to remember that government policies and spending ultimately rely on public support. So let us all pledge to do our bit towards Mother Nature and protect the ecology and environment we see around us as a gift to our future generations. So with this, I'd like to conclude by congratulating Mr. Nishant for organizing this program. I am sure that the distinguished guests and spiritual leaders, health experts who have come to spare their time and energy would continue to contribute their time and energy in future to not only educate but also create awareness in spirituality, health and protection of the environment. I thank the organizers, especially Mr. Nishant Reddy, for giving me opportunity. And before I conclude, I should also appreciate many of the distinguished guests. I had the opportunity to hear messages of Dr. Kadarwalli, who is very active on the Facebook and on social media, and Acharya Mohan Gupta and Swami Shitikananda from Ramakrishna Math, and Sister Radhika, who have come here and volunteered to spare their valuable time. Namaskar, and I wish I participate in programs like this in future also. And I wish all success to young entrepreneur, Mr. Nishant Reddy, who has entered into this new spiritual and health climate change area. And I wish him grand success. Let him continue these activities, similar activities in future. And I hope many youngsters follow footsteps of Mr. Nishant Reddy. Thank you once again.